I'll do my best to present what the European Union and specifically the Common Agricultural Policy has done and what it will do for the fruit and vegetable sector. And for questions, I will try to answer as best as I can, and if I will not be able, I will take note and bring them back and then come back to you. I have slides just to avoid giving numbers like in a bingo. So first point, what has the European Union done in the last, say, 5 years to support the fruit and vegetable sector? First, the promotion policy. The European Union helps the food sector, the agri-food sector, to finance information and promotion campaigns to help European producers in an increasingly competitive world. The objectives are twofold: to gain new markets where there is a highest potential of growth. Say, my commissioner often goes to China, for instance, to accompany producers, and in the internal market to inform consumers about the high standards and the quality of the EU agri-food products, namely the geographical indications and the organic. The promotion policy was reformed in 2014 and benefits from a more substantial budget, gradually increasing from 60 million euros the first year, 2015, to 180 million this year. So it tripled over this time span. And in addition to that, already last year and this year, in what we call annual work programs, we have earmarked part of this budget on what we call multi-promotion programs, those that are proposed by organization in more than one member state. So we have earmarked a part of this budget, 10% this year, to promotion programs or campaigns targeting the increase of consumption of fruit and vegetables. That was a minimum share of 10%. Then, of course, the result could have been higher, depending on the rest. So what you see in the slide is the number of promotion programs targeting fruit and vegetables in 2016, 17, and 18 under the reformed promotion policy, and the corresponding budget requested to the European Union in absolute terms and in percentage of the overall budget for the promotion of all other sectors, meat and dairy, for instance, or baskets of products, etc. And you will see that in 2016, fruit and veg was by large the main beneficiaries of these promotion programs, and to a certain extent also in 2018, not in 17 because it was specific. In that case, there had been specific market disturbances in the meat sector, so meat had received, for a number of reasons, higher funding. And colleagues in charge of the promotion have also given me figures of the past experience, 2001, 2013. Fruit and veg had always something like 20% of the budget of this promotion campaign. So indeed, it has funding. On top of this, and I'm sorry, what I wanted to add is that in case of unexpected crisis, say a new Russian embargo, God save us, there is the possibility of having an envelope for that circumstance. So if fruit and veg or any other sector faced a specific crisis, then the promotion policy would make room for specific campaigns to address that. On top of this horizontal promotion, then there is also a budget for the promotion and information actions in the operational programs of what they are called producer organizations in the market sectors. There is a measure which is called crisis prevention and management, and it does not only concern what we call the market withdrawal or the insurances or some investments, but also promotion and information actions. And the most recent figures for 2016 from the member states show that the EU contributed with around 10.8 million euros. Then the school schemes we have discussed at length, but it's last but not least, in the same reference period, the EU made available, say, 150 million euros for fruit and veg in 2015-16, 16-17, and again in the last school year, where then member states asked a little bit less. So it's not that we reduced the envelope, it's simply that we were asked for less, and this is what we put for funding. We all know that it's very important. We hear complaints that it should be more. Yes, but still, I would like to say that despite its success, it does not ensure the full budget execution. It's a shame that around 20% of the resources that are earmarked for the provision of fruit and veg and milk and the pedagogic measures to children every year are finally not spent for a number of reasons, administrative difficulties, bottlenecks. So in a situation where, as you know, where every euro counts, not only because of the next withdrawal from of the UK, which will have additional, which will leave a hole in the budget and other priorities, it's very important that every euro is spent. So this is what we have been doing under the Common Agricultural Policy to support the fruit and vegetable sector. We have other schemes that are not sectorial, for instance, the aid to investments in rural development or young farmers, etc. This covers all sectors. It's not possible to isolate any particular of this one. What are the challenges to our policy to support fruit and vegetables? I confess that I misunderstood. I thought it was more on the consumption, not on the production. So I had noted the as everybody in this room has been saying, the fact that in 2/3 of the EU countries, consumption is below the recommended intake of 400 grams per day of fruit and veg as per World Health Organization. And on top of that, the consumption is decreasing due to the changing lifestyles, etc., and also to the fact that often the junk food is the cheaper alternatives. We had from colleagues in fruit and veg a slide, I don't know if you can see it, but it was showing the patterns by different generations on the consumption of vegetables, not fruit, but for vegetables, every generation, every younger generation eats less vegetables, and on top of that, as each generation ages, consumption of vegetable shrinks. So that's obvious challenge, and the attempt is to focus even more on the health dimension to boost consumption, because it's one of the cases of a win-win situation where we are helping our producers and we are contributing to integrating the public health objectives in all European Union policies. Now, what comes next? Or looking ahead, I heard about the how can the Common Agricultural Policy be reoriented so as to favor more fruit and vegetables. I have to say, on behalf of my DG, that the Common Agricultural Policy sets the political and legal background and the corresponding budget to ensure a stable and safe supply of food to citizens, possibly in the most sustainable and resource-efficient ways. But it is not to tell people what to eat or what to produce or how to produce, if only because we are paying also the big bulk of the subsidies we are giving to farmers are completely decoupled from production. So we pay regardless of what they produce. So for us, the point is that consumers should be able to make, of course, informed choices, and by that, they should be able to impact on what is produced and how it is produced. What the common agricultural policy can do and what it should do is to help our producers to react to the changing demands by the consumers, and this is what we have been doing, for instance, helping farmers to convert or to maintain organic farming due to the increasing demand. And secondly, and not least importantly, is to address the consumers' concerns. And the Commission proposal for the future of food and farming after 2020 includes a new objective for the Common Agricultural Policy that dates back from the 50s, when the main issue was production and supply. Now we have added a new objective, which is to address societal demands on food and health, including safe, nutritious, and sustainable food. It may be something, straightforward, but indeed it's something which was not in the treaty, and we are now in the Commission proposal. It's now under discussion, of course, with the Parliament and the Council, but the Commission proposal puts it explicitly. And this links to a new objective for the fruit and vegetable sector, which is to increase fruit and vegetable consumption. There again, it may seem not the end of the world, but indeed it's a very significant element for us to focus not only on the supply or the producers, but also on the consumers, because we have this target to increase fruit and vegetables consumption, and the aid rate for the measures that address that objective will be higher. Other than that, the support for the fruit and vegetables will not change significantly. There will be what we call a new delivery model, so there will not be any longer a specific market measures for the fruit and vegetables producer organization. It will be part of what we call strategic plans to be drafted at each member state level with a number of interventions, direct payments, rural development, and these measures. But other than that, the features of the scheme will not change significantly. The producer groups that have proved to be efficient will remain mandatory for the member states, and we have not put a maximum EU budget, which is positive for the sector, because should we have resources, they can, or more resources, in the unlikely event that we had more resources, they could go there. And last but not least, we don't propose changes to the promotion policy or the school scheme, because they have just been reformed and they need some stability to produce their help. Thank you so much for your attention.